How does a single reckless kiss at a high school reunion unravel everything you thought you controlled? Why did my boyfriend, silent in that moment, wait to gather every receipt before showing me the true cost of one public humiliation? When the legal documents landed in my hands, I finally understood how calm can be more devastating than rage. The gymnasium smelled like old sweat and cheap punch, decorated with silver streamers that screamed, "Class of 2009, 15 years later." I smoothed my red dress for the 100th time, watching Daniel chat with his old math club friends near the trophy case. Same old Dan, playing it safe, staying in his comfort zone. That's when I saw Shane Vale. He looked exactly like he did in high school, except now his muscles filled out his shirt in ways that made every woman in the room take notice. The same cocky smile, the same way of commanding attention just by existing. He caught my eye and winked, and suddenly I was 17 again, invisible and desperate for validation. "Lira Elowen," Shane said, appearing beside me with 2 cups of punch. "You look incredible." "Thanks," I said, accepting the drink and feeling my cheeks flush. "You haven't changed a bit." "Neither have you. Still the prettiest girl in our class." I laughed, the sound coming out breathier than intended. "You're such a liar. I was invisible in high school." "Not to me," he said, stepping closer. "I always noticed you." The lie was obvious, but God, it felt good to hear. When was the last time Daniel had said something like that? When was the last time he'd looked at me like I was something special instead of just there? "Where's your boyfriend?" Shane asked, glancing around. "Over there." I pointed toward Daniel, who was deep in conversation about teaching methods, or standardized tests, or whatever boring topic consumed his life these days. "He's a high school math teacher now." "Figures," Shane chuckled. "Some people never leave high school, you know. But you're different. I can tell you've got fire in you." The compliment hit exactly where I needed it most. Daniel hadn't said I was different or special in months. He came home, graded papers, watched Netflix, and went to bed. When was the last time he'd made me feel desired? "Dance with me," Shane said, extending his hand. I glanced toward Daniel again. He was still talking, hadn't even looked my way in 20 minutes. "I shouldn't. Come on, it's just a dance. For old time's sake." The music was slow, something from our senior year. Shane's hands found my waist, pulling me closer than strictly appropriate for a reunion dance. I could feel eyes on us, phones probably recording, but in that moment, I didn't care. "You're wasted on him," Shane whispered in my ear. "A woman like you needs someone who appreciates what he's got." My heart hammered against my ribs. This was wrong, but it felt so right. When Shane's lips brushed my ear, I turned my head slightly, and suddenly we were kissing. It wasn't a long kiss, maybe 5 seconds, but it might as well have been an hour. The gymnasium fell silent around us, and when I opened my eyes, I saw Daniel standing 10 feet away, his face completely blank. "Dan, I started, but he'd already turned and walked away. Shane chuckled. "Guess he saw that." "I should go after him," I said, but my feet didn't move. "Why? You're a grown woman. You can kiss whoever you want." The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Daniel disappeared entirely, probably went home early like he always did when things got uncomfortable. I spent the night basking in the attention the kiss had generated. Old classmates kept coming up to me, asking if Daniel and I were okay, if we were having problems. "It was just a joke," I told them, laughing it off. "Dan knows I was just having fun." But even as I said it, something cold settled in my stomach. I got home at midnight to find Daniel's car in the driveway, but the house dark. He was in bed, facing the wall, pretending to sleep. "Dan," I whispered, "are you awake?" "Nothing." "Look, about tonight. It was just a stupid kiss. It didn't mean anything." Still nothing. "You're really going to give me the silent treatment over this?" "It was a joke, Dan. Everyone knew it was just for fun." He didn't move, didn't acknowledge I was there at all. "Fine." If he wanted to be dramatic about it, that was his problem. The next morning, I woke up to an empty bed. Daniel was already gone. No note, no text. I checked my phone and saw 17 missed calls from my sister Tessa and 43 notifications on social media. The video was everywhere. Someone had posted the kiss on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everywhere. The caption read, "Drama at the Roosevelt High reunion, Lira Elowen making moves while her boyfriend watches, and reunion drama are messy." My phone buzzed with a text from Tessa. "Girl, what were you thinking? This is everywhere," I called her back immediately. "Tessa, thank God. This is blown way out of proportion. Lira, there's literally a video of you making out with Shane Vale while Daniel stands there looking like someone shot his dog. We weren't making out. It was one kiss and it lasted like 2 seconds. It doesn't matter how long it lasted. You humiliated him in front of everyone." "I didn't humiliate anyone," I snapped. "God, why is everyone acting like I committed murder? It was harmless fun." "Harmless? Lira, your boyfriend of 6 years just watched you kiss another man at your high school reunion. How is that harmless?" I hung up on her. She didn't understand. None of them understood what it was like living with someone who took you for granted, who never made you feel special or wanted anymore. At work, the whispers started immediately. My co-workers had seen the video too. Janet from accounting came up to my desk with fake concern written all over her face. "Lira, honey, are you okay? I saw what happened at your reunion." "I'm fine," I said through gritted teeth. "It was just a joke that people are taking way too seriously." "Oh, well, I just wanted to make sure you were handling everything okay. Sometimes these things can get out of hand." By lunch, I'd had the same conversation 12 times, everyone pretending to be concerned while really just fishing for gossip. I posted a defiant selfie on Instagram with the caption, "Living my best life and not apologizing for it. Bon, no regrets, thou strong woman." The likes poured in, along with comments ranging from supportive to savage. I deleted the negative ones and focused on the people telling me I was brave and empowered. Daniel still wasn't answering my texts. When I got home that evening, he was sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of papers in front of him. He looked up when I walked in, his expression completely neutral. "We need to talk," he said. "Finally," I said, dropping my purse on the counter. "I was wondering when you'd stop being childish about this." "Childish," he repeated slowly. "Is that what you think this is?" "Dan, I'm sorry if your feelings got hurt, but you're blowing this completely out of proportion. It was one stupid kiss with someone from high school. It didn't mean anything." "It didn't mean anything," he said, like he was testing the words. "You kissed another man in front of me, in front of everyone we know, and it didn't mean anything." "Exactly. It was just for fun. You know I love you." He stared at me for a long moment, then picked up one of the papers from the table. "This is a bank statement for a new account I opened yesterday. I've moved half our savings into it." My blood went cold. "What? Why would you do that?" "Because apparently we have different ideas about what constitutes a relationship." "Dan, you're being ridiculous. I made one mistake." "Mistake?" His voice was still calm, but there was something underneath it that made my skin crawl. "Is that what you're calling it now?" "What else would you call it?" He stood up, gathering the papers. "I'd call it a choice. You chose to kiss him. You chose to humiliate me. You chose to prioritize your need for attention over our relationship." "That's not what happened." "Isn't it?" He pulled out his phone and showed me the video. "Watch this and tell me what you see." I watched myself kiss Shane, saw the way I melted into him, saw Daniel in the background looking devastated. But I wasn't going to let him make me feel guilty for one moment of feeling desired. I see someone who felt ignored by her boyfriend and made a stupid decision for 2 seconds. 2 seconds, he repeated. "And how long have you been texting him since then?" My heart stopped. "What?" "Shane, how long have you been texting him since the reunion?" "I haven't been—" I started to lie, then caught myself. "We've exchanged a few messages." So what? Daniel nodded like I'd just confirmed something. A few messages. About what? Nothing important, just catching up. He pulled out a folder I hadn't noticed before and opened it. Inside were printed screenshots of my text conversations with Shane, my Instagram DMs, even my Google search history. Can't stop thinking about last night, he read from one of my messages to Shane. Dan doesn't understand me like you do. Maybe we should meet for coffee. I felt like I was going to throw up. How did you get those? We share a phone plan, Lira. We share a computer. We've shared everything for 6 years. He closed the folder. I'm sleeping in the guest room tonight, and tomorrow I'm calling a lawyer. A lawyer? Dan, you're being insane. But he was already walking away, leaving me alone in the kitchen with the evidence of my betrayal spread across the table. The next morning, I woke up to find Daniel already gone again. No coffee made, no note, nothing. Like I didn't exist. I called in sick to work and spent the morning crafting the perfect social media post. If everyone wanted to make this into a big drama, fine. I'd control the narrative. Sometimes you have to break the rules to remember who you are, I posted, along with a photo of myself looking confident and unapologetic. Not everyone will understand, but the right people will. Growth requires courage. Authentic, no apologies, brave enough to change. The responses were immediate and divided. Some people called me brave and inspirational, others called me selfish and cruel. I blocked the negative commenters and focused on building my support network. Shane texted me around noon. Saw your post? You're handling this like a queen. Coffee later. I knew I shouldn't. Daniel was already talking about lawyers. But part of me was furious that he was trying to control who I could talk to. Absolutely, I texted back. Café Luna at 3. Can't wait to see you again. The cafe was crowded, which was perfect. I wanted people to see me out, living my life, not hiding in shame like Daniel probably expected. Shane was already there when I arrived, looking annoyingly handsome in his fitted t-shirt and jeans. There she is, he said, standing to hug me. The woman of the hour. More like the woman everyone's talking about, I said, sitting across from him. Let them talk. You did nothing wrong. Thank you. God, finally someone with sense. Daniel's acting like I cheated on him or something. Didn't you? Shane asked with a grin. It was one kiss, and honestly, maybe he needed a wake-up call. He's been taking me for granted for months. Some guys don't know what they have until they lose it. Exactly. I leaned forward. You get it. You understand that sometimes you have to shake things up to make people pay attention. Shane reached across the table and took my hand. I understand that you're an incredible woman who deserves to be appreciated. We talked for 2 hours. Shane told me about his fitness business, his travels, his adventures, everything Daniel wasn't. When Shane suggested we meet again the next week, I didn't hesitate to say yes. I posted a selfie of us at the cafe with the caption, "Coffee with an old friend who reminds me what it feels like to be seen, optional friendship, support, moving forward." The comments exploded. Girl, this is messy. Where's Daniel in all this? You're playing with fire. Living for this drama. I was in the middle of responding to comments when my phone rang. Daniel's mother, Mia. Lira, she said without preamble. We need to talk. Hi, Mia. If this is about the reunion, it's about the fact that my son hasn't slept or eaten in 3 days because of what you did to him. My defenses went up immediately. What I did? Mia, I kissed someone for 2 seconds, that's all. You humiliated him in front of everyone he knows. You've been parading around with this Shane person like Daniel doesn't exist. And now you're posting about it online like it's some kind of victory. I'm not parading around with anyone. Shane and I are just friends. Friends, Mia repeated coldly. Is that what you call it when you hold hands at coffee shops? My stomach dropped. Someone had seen us. Someone had told her. Mia, you don't understand the whole situation. I understand that Daniel gave you 6 years of his life. I understand that he was planning to propose to you next month. I understand that he's been carrying around an engagement ring for 3 weeks, waiting for the right moment. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? He bought a ring, Lira. He was going to propose on your birthday next month. Had it all planned out. I couldn't breathe. I didn't know. Of course you didn't know, because you've been too busy playing games with other men to notice that the man who loves you was planning to spend his life with you. The line went dead. I sat in my car outside the cafe, staring at my phone, trying to process what Mia had just told me. Daniel was going to propose. He'd bought a ring. He was planning our future while I was... No, this was his fault too. If he'd been paying attention to me, if he'd been making me feel wanted, none of this would have happened. You can't neglect someone for months and then expect them to just wait around forever. I drove home to find Daniel in the living room, talking quietly on the phone. He looked up when I walked in, said, "I'll call you back," and hung up. "Was that your mother?" I asked. "Yes. She told me about the ring." Daniel's expression didn't change. "Did she? Why didn't you tell me you were planning to propose?" "Because proposals are supposed to be surprises, Lira, and because I'm not anymore." The casual way he said it, like he was discussing the weather, made my chest tight. "What do you mean you're not anymore?" "I mean I returned the ring yesterday." "You returned it?" "Yes. I returned a $3,000 engagement ring because the woman I bought it for kissed another man in front of me and then spent 3 days telling everyone it was no big deal." $3,000. He'd spent $3,000 on a ring for me, and I'd ruined it all for one moment of feeling desired by Shane. "Dan, I'm sorry, I didn't know." "You didn't know because you didn't care to know. When's the last time you asked me about my day, Lira? When's the last time you showed interest in my life, my thoughts, my feelings?" I opened my mouth to answer and realized I couldn't remember. "That's what I thought," he said. "You want to know why I seem distant lately? Because I was terrified. I was terrified that you'd say no when I proposed. I was terrified that you didn't love me anymore, and instead of talking to me about it, you decided to kiss another man to make yourself feel better." "That's not why I kissed him." "Then why did you?" The question hung in the air between us. Why had I kissed Shane? Because he made me feel special? Because I wanted attention? Because I was bored? None of those reasons sounded good when I tried to put them into words. "I don't know," I whispered. "You don't know." Daniel stood up. "Well, I know. You kissed him because you wanted to. Because in that moment, what you wanted mattered more than our relationship, more than my feelings, more than 6 years of building a life together." It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. And the fact that you can't see it, that you're still trying to justify it, tells me everything I need to know about where we stand. He headed toward the stairs, then stopped. "Oh, and Lira, I know about your coffee date with Shane today, and I know you're planning to see him again next week. How do you... Because you posted about it. You posted about holding hands with another man while your boyfriend was at work, trying to figure out how to salvage our relationship." He disappeared upstairs, leaving me alone with the weight of what I'd done. But even then, even knowing about the ring and the proposal, and how much I'd hurt him, part of me was angry. He should have proposed months ago. He should have made me feel wanted. He should have fought for me instead of just giving up. My phone buzzed with a text from Shane. "Had an amazing time today. Can't wait to see you again. You deserve so much better than someone who doesn't appreciate you." I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. "Thank you for understanding. See you next week." The family dinner at my father's house was supposed to be a monthly tradition, but it had been 3 months since we'd all gotten together. Daniel and I sat on opposite sides of the table, barely speaking, while my sister Tessa dominated the conversation with stories about her latest dating adventures. "So then he had the nerve to ask me to split the check," Tessa was saying. "Like, sir, you invited me to dinner. This isn't Dutch treat night at Applebee's." My father, Marco, chuckled politely, while my mother passed around more potatoes. The whole scene felt surreal, like we were all pretending everything was normal, while my relationship imploded in real time. "How are things with you two?" Mom asked, looking between Daniel and me. "You've been awfully quiet tonight." I felt Daniel's eyes on me, waiting to see what I'd say. "We're fine," I said, "just tired from work." "Are you sure?" Mom pressed. "You both seem tense." "Actually," Daniel said quietly, "we're having some problems." The table went silent. Tessa's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "What kind of problems?" Dad asked. I shot Daniel a warning look, but he ignored it. Lira kissed someone else at her high school reunion last weekend. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Mum's face went through several expressions before settling on disappointed confusion. "Lira," she said finally, "is that true?" "It's not that simple," I started, but Tessa cut me off. "Wait, you're talking about that video everyone's been sharing? That was you?" "You've seen it?" I asked, mortified. "Girl, everyone's seen it. It's been all over social media for a week." "It was one kiss," I said defensively. "Everyone's acting like I had an affair or something." "You did have an affair," Daniel said calmly. "You kissed another man, then spent the week texting him and meeting him for coffee dates. What would you call that?" "I'd call it trying to figure out who I am outside of this relationship." The words came out louder than I'd intended. Everyone stared at me. "What does that mean?" Mom asked. "It means I've spent 6 years being who Daniel wanted me to be, and maybe I wanted to remember what it felt like to be myself for 5 minutes." "Yourself," Daniel repeated. "The person who kisses other men in public is yourself." "The person who feels desired and appreciated is myself, yes." "You want to feel desired?" Daniel's voice was rising now. "I've told you I love you every day for 6 years. I've supported your career, your dreams, your family. I was planning to propose to you next month. How much more desired could you possibly feel?" "You were going to propose?" Dad asked. "I bought a ring 3 weeks ago," Daniel said, not taking his eyes off me. "Had the whole thing planned out, but I returned it yesterday because apparently the woman I thought I was going to marry would rather make out with her high school crush than build a future with me." "You returned it?" Mom gasped. "Daniel," Dad said carefully, "maybe you should think about this." "Think about what?" Daniel stood up. "Think about whether I want to marry someone who humiliates me in public and then tells everyone it's my fault for not making her feel special enough." "That's not what I said." "It's exactly what you said. You blamed me for your choices. You kissed Shane because I didn't pay enough attention to you. You're texting him because I don't understand you. You're meeting him for coffee because I take you for granted. Everything is my fault, except the actual kissing and dating another man." "I'm not dating him." "What do you call it when you hold hands with someone at coffee shops and make plans to see them again?" "I call it friendship." Tessa snorted. "Lira, come on. I've seen the photos. That's not friendship." "Et tu, Tessa," I snapped. "I'm just saying, if you wanted to explore other options, maybe you should have broken up with Daniel first." "I don't want to explore other options. I want Daniel to fight for me." The words hung in the air, and I realized I'd just admitted something I hadn't even acknowledged to myself. "Fight for you?" Daniel asked quietly. "What do you think I've been doing for 6 years? What do you think buying an engagement ring was? What do you think staying up all night for 3 days trying to figure out how to fix this was?" "That's not fighting. That's just existing." "Existing," he repeated. 6 years of loving you, supporting you, planning a future with you is just existing. You never made me feel special. I made you feel special every day. You just stopped noticing." The truth of that hit me like a slap. When was the last time I'd really listened when Daniel told me he loved me? When was the last time I'd appreciated the little things he did? The way he brought me coffee in the morning, or rubbed my feet after long days at work. "This is ridiculous," I said, standing up. "I'm not going to sit here and be attacked by everyone." "Attacked?" Daniel laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Lira, you cheated on me. In public, on video. And you're upset that people are calling you out for it. I kissed someone, one time, for 2 seconds. And then you spent a week pursuing him while telling everyone our relationship problems were my fault. Because they are partly your fault. Fine, Daniel said, his voice suddenly calm again. You're right, it is partly my fault. I should have seen this coming. I should have noticed that you'd rather get validation from strangers than work on our relationship. I should have realized that you'd rather blow up 6 years of building something together than have an adult conversation about feeling neglected. He picked up his jacket from the back of his chair. Where are you going? I asked. Home. To pack. Pack for what? I'm moving out, Lira. I'm done. You can't just leave. Watch me. He headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, and for the record, I did fight for you. I fought for you every day for 6 years, but I'm not going to fight another man for you. If you want him, you can have him. The door closed behind him with a quiet click that somehow sounded louder than if he'd slammed it. The table sat in stunned silence until Tessa finally spoke. Well, she said, that was dramatic. Tessa, Mum scolded. What? I'm just saying, if Lira wanted out of the relationship, there were probably better ways to do it than making out with someone else at a public event. I didn't want out of the relationship, I shouted. Then what did you want? Dad asked. I stared at him, trying to find an answer that made sense. What had I wanted? Attention? Excitement? To feel desired? To make Daniel jealous? I wanted him to care, I said finally. He did care, Mum said gently. Honey, that man was going to propose to you. Then why didn't he? Because proposals are supposed to be special, Tessa said. And you've been acting like you didn't even want to be with him. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time you posted a photo with him? When's the last time you talked about him like you were happy to be with him? I couldn't answer because I couldn't remember. I think, Dad said carefully, that you might have sabotaged something good because you were scared of how good it was. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't it? Daniel was going to propose. You were going to have to make a decision about your future. And instead of dealing with that, you created a crisis that made the decision for you. I drove home in silence, Dad's words echoing in my head. Had I sabotaged things on purpose? Had I kissed Shane because I was scared of marrying Daniel? The house was dark when I got home. Daniel's car was gone. And when I went inside, I could see that his clothes were missing from the closet. He'd taken his books, his computer, even the coffee maker he'd bought last Christmas. On the kitchen table was a note. I'll be staying at my brother's for a while. We can figure out the apartment lease later. I need some time to think. I sat in the empty house, surrounded by the gaps where Daniel's life used to be, and for the first time since the reunion, I let myself cry. The video had been online for 10 days when my boss called me into her office. Sandra Martinez was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, who'd built the insurance company from nothing. I'd always respected her, which made sitting across from her desk while she pulled up the video on her computer one of the most humiliating moments of my life. Lira, she said, not looking away from the screen. Would you like to explain to me why a video of you kissing someone who isn't your boyfriend at a public event has been shared over 50,000 times? Sandra, I can explain. Because I've had 3 clients call this morning, asking if this is the kind of person we employ. I've had Janet from accounting tell me that half the office has been talking about this instead of working. And I've had our corporate office ask me if we need to review our social media policy. My mouth went dry. It was a personal matter. It has nothing to do with my work. When it affects our reputation, it has everything to do with your work. She turned the computer screen toward me. Look at this. The video was playing on repeat. I watched myself melt into Shane's arms, saw the way I'd completely forgotten where I was or who was watching. In the background, Daniel stood frozen, looking like someone had just destroyed his world. This isn't just about a kiss, Lira. This is about judgment. This is about the kind of decisions you make when you think no one important is watching. I made a mistake. You made a choice, and then you made another choice to post about it on social media like it was something to be proud of. And then you made another choice to be photographed with this man at a public restaurant while your boyfriend was presumably at home dealing with the fallout. She was right, and we both knew it. I'm not firing you, Sandra continued, but I am putting you on notice. Any more incidents that reflect poorly on this company, and we'll have to reconsider your employment here. I nodded, not trusting my voice. And Lira, take down those social media posts, all of them, today. I spent my lunch break deleting posts and blocking comments, but the damage was already done. The video had taken on a life of its own, shared and reshared across platforms with captions like, "When keeping it real goes wrong," and "How to destroy your relationship in 5 seconds." My phone buzzed with a text from Shane. "Heard you had a rough day at work. Want to grab dinner and talk about it?" I stared at the message for a long time. Daniel was gone. My job was in jeopardy. My family thought I was an idiot. What did I have left to lose? "Sure," I texted back. "Where?" "How about that Italian place on 5th Street, 7 p.m. "See you there." The restaurant was dimly lit and intimate, exactly the wrong place to be seen with Shane, while my relationship imploded publicly. But I was past caring about appearances. "You look stressed," Shane said when I sat down across from him. "My boss called me in today. Apparently, our little moment at the reunion is affecting my professional reputation." "That's ridiculous. What you do in your personal life is none of their business. Tell that to the clients who are questioning whether they want to work with someone who cheats on their boyfriend in public." Shane reached across the table and took my hand. "You didn't cheat. You kissed someone. There's a difference." "Is there? Because everyone else seems to think they're the same thing. Everyone else is jealous that you had the courage to go after what you wanted." "What I wanted?" I laughed bitterly. "I don't even know what I wanted. 5 minutes of feeling special, validation from someone I barely knew in high school. You wanted to feel alive again. There's nothing wrong with that. There's everything wrong with it when it destroys your life. Did it destroy your life, or did it free you from a life that wasn't making you happy?" I looked at him, this man who barely knew me, trying to reframe my betrayal as liberation. "You don't know anything about my relationship with Daniel. I know he didn't fight for you. He did fight for me, for 6 years. I just didn't notice." Shane's expression shifted slightly. "Are you having second thoughts about this?" "About what?" "About us. About exploring what this could be." "Us?" I stared at him. "Shane, there is no us. There's barely even a you in my life. We've had coffee once and dinner once. That's not a relationship." "It could be." "Based on what? 1 kiss and 2 conversations?" "Based on chemistry. Based on the fact that you came alive the moment I touched you." The words should have been romantic, but instead, they made me feel hollow. Is that all I was to him? A conquest? A married woman looking for excitement? "What do you actually know about me?" I asked. "I know you're beautiful. I know you're passionate. I know you're brave enough to take risks." "Do you know what I do for work? Do you know my favorite movie? Do you know that I'm terrified of spiders but love thunderstorms? Do you know that I cry at commercials with dogs in them?" Shane looked uncomfortable. We're still getting to know each other. Daniel knows all of those things. Daniel knows that I like my coffee with 2 sugars and no cream. He knows that I get cranky when I'm hungry, and that I need exactly 8 hours of sleep, or I'm useless the next day. He knows that I wanted to be a teacher when I was little but was too scared to try. He knows everything about me, and I threw it all away for someone who thinks I'm passionate because I kissed him at a high school reunion. "Lira, I need to go." I stood up, leaving Shane sitting at the table with a confused expression. Outside, I called Daniel's number without thinking. It went straight to voicemail. "Dan, it's me. I made a huge mistake. Not just the kiss, but everything after. I've been trying to blame you for my choices, and that's not fair. You didn't deserve any of this. I know you probably don't want to talk to me, but if you're willing to try to work this out, I'm ready to do whatever it takes. I love you, and I'm sorry." I hung up and drove home to our empty apartment, hoping against hope that he'd call me back. He didn't. 2 weeks passed without a word from Daniel. I'd left 6 voicemails and sent dozens of texts, all unanswered. His brother Jonah had blocked me on social media. His mother hung up when I called. It was like Daniel had vanished from my life completely, taking his entire support system with him. I was sitting in the apartment on a Thursday evening, staring at my phone and debating whether to call him again, when I heard a key in the lock. My heart leaped. Daniel was coming home. We could talk this through, work it out, fix what I'd broken. But when the door opened, it wasn't Daniel. It was a woman I'd never seen before, wearing a professional suit and carrying a briefcase. "Lira Elowen?" she asked. "Yes?" "I'm Patricia Wells, attorney for Daniel Pell. I have some documents for you." She handed me a thick manila envelope. My hands shook as I opened it. The first document was a formal notice that Daniel was terminating our lease. The second was a detailed accounting of our shared assets and debts, with his proposed division of everything. The third was a cease and desist letter demanding that I stop contacting him, his family, and his workplace. "I don't understand," I said, looking up at the attorney. "He's having me served legal papers." "Mr. Pell has made it clear that he wants no further contact with you. These documents outline the legal dissolution of your cohabitation arrangement and shared financial obligations. But we're not married. We don't need lawyers for this." "Actually, you do, because Mr. Pell is also pursuing a restraining order if you continue to contact him against his wishes." The words hit me like a physical blow. "A restraining order? I'm not stalking him. I'm trying to apologize." "Ma'am, I'm just here to deliver the papers. You have 30 days to respond to the asset division proposal and 60 days to vacate the apartment." She left me standing in the doorway, holding the papers that formally ended my relationship with Daniel. 6 years reduced to legal documents and property division. I called Tessa, sobbing. "He served me papers, Tessa. Legal papers like I'm some kind of criminal." "What kind of papers?" "Asset division, lease termination. He wants me to stop contacting him, or he'll get a restraining order." Tessa was quiet for a long moment. "Lira, how many times have you called him?" "I don't know. A few times." "How many times?" "Maybe 20, 30. 30 times. Lira, that's harassment." "It's not harassment. I'm trying to apologize." "He doesn't want your apology. He wants you to leave him alone." "But I love him." "You should have thought about that before you kissed someone else and spent 2 weeks defending it." I hung up on her and called my father. "Dad, Daniel's trying to get a restraining order against me." "What did you do, Lira?" "Nothing. I just tried to call him to apologize." "How many times?" "Why did everyone keep asking me that?" "It doesn't matter how many times. I'm trying to fix this." "Honey, you can't fix this. You broke something that can't be repaired." "That's not true. People work through infidelity all the time." "Do they work through public humiliation? Do they work through their partner, defending the betrayal, and pursuing the other person afterward?" I couldn't answer that. "Lira, I think you need to accept that this relationship is over, and focus on learning from this experience." "Learning what?" "Learning that actions have consequences. Learning that you can't treat people like they're disposable and expect them to stick around. Learning that love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice you make every day, and you chose wrong." I spent the weekend going through our shared belongings, dividing 6 years of accumulated life into mine and his piles. Daniel's pile was significantly smaller. He'd taken only what was clearly his and left everything we'd bought together. On Sunday evening, I found the jewelry box where I kept the necklace he'd given me for our first anniversary. A simple silver chain with a small pendant that said, "Always." I'd worn it every day for 5 years until I'd gotten bored with it and put it away. Underneath the necklace was a small velvet box I'd never seen before. With trembling hands, I opened it. Inside was the most beautiful engagement ring I'd ever seen. A classic solitaire setting with a round diamond that caught the light and threw rainbows across the room. It was perfect, exactly what I would have chosen if he'd asked me. There was a note tucked under the ring. For the woman who makes every day better just by being in it. I can't wait to spend forever with you. D. I sat on our bedroom floor, holding the ring he'd returned because of my choices, and finally understood the magnitude of what I'd destroyed. This wasn't just about a kiss or feeling unappreciated. This was about a man who'd loved me enough to plan a future with me, who'd saved for months to buy me this ring, who'd been carrying it around for weeks waiting for the perfect moment to ask me to marry him. And I'd thrown it all away for 5 seconds of feeling desired by someone who barely knew my last name. My phone buzzed with a text from Shane. "Haven't heard from you in a while. Everything okay?" I stared at the message, then at the ring, then typed back, "Please don't contact me anymore. I need to figure out my life." Come on, don't let them make you feel guilty about being happy. I'm not happy, I'm miserable. And I have no one to blame but myself. I blocked his number and deleted his contact information. On Monday morning, I called Daniel's attorney. "Ms. Wells, this is Lira Elowen. I wanted to let you know that I accept all of Mr. Pell's terms. I'll sign whatever he wants me to sign, and I'll stop trying to contact him." "That's probably wise, Ms. Elowen. Can you give him a message for me? I can't guarantee he'll want to hear it. Just tell him I found the ring, and tell him I'm sorry. Not sorry I got caught, not sorry people are mad at me, but genuinely sorry for what I did to him. He deserved better. I'll pass that along." 3 months later, I was living in a studio apartment across town, working at a new insurance company after Sandra finally decided my reputation was too much of a liability. I deleted all my social media accounts and was seeing a therapist twice a week, trying to understand how I'd convinced myself that betraying someone who loved me was an act of self-empowerment. I ran into Jonah, Daniel's brother, at a grocery store on a random Tuesday evening. He saw me before I could escape down another aisle. "Lira," he said, his voice neutral. "Jonah, how is he?" "He's good, really good actually." Is he seeing anyone?" Jonah studied my face for a moment. "Yeah, he is. Someone who appreciates what she has." The word stung, but I nodded. "Good. He deserves that." "He does." "Jonah, can you tell him something for me?" "Depends what it is. Tell him I finally understand what I lost, and tell him I hope he's happy. Really happy." Jonah's expression softened slightly. "I'll tell him." I drove home to my empty apartment, made dinner for one, and sat down to write in the journal my therapist had recommended. At the top of the page, I wrote, "Day 127 of learning to live with the consequences of my choices." Below that, I wrote, "I kissed someone else because I wanted to feel special. I destroyed a 6-year relationship because I was bored. I lost the love of my life because I convinced myself I deserved more attention than he was giving me. I have no one to blame but myself." And for the first time since the reunion, I didn't try to justify it, or explain it away, or blame Daniel for not fighting harder. I just sat with the truth of what I'd done and tried to figure out how to become someone who would never make those choices again. Some mistakes you can fix. Some apologies are accepted. Some relationships survive betrayal. But some actions change everything forever, and no amount of regret can undo them. I kissed the cool guy from my past to feel wanted again, and in those 5 seconds, I lost the one person who had wanted me all along. Daniel moved on. He found someone who chose him every day, not just when she was feeling